I've become interested in the science of sport nutrition, and in evidence-based approaches to healthy eating. I've been on a teaching sabbatical, and among the many professional goals I set for myself, I also had a personal one, to delve deeply into my own fitness. For many years I've been slowly altering my diet, increasing my quantity and quality of exercise, and playing more sports, particularly squash, running, and weightlifting. I'm to a point now where I can confidently and happily call myself an athlete. I'm not, and will never be, the kind that wins major sporting awards, or breaks records. Rather, I like living the life of an athlete, training, being healthy and active, pushing myself to get stronger, faster, and more skilled at using my body. The limits of training. My interest in this began when I started hitting the limits of my training. I had been plagued by a number of overuse injuries: patellar tendonitis, plantar fasciitis, triceps tendonitis. Each of these took many months of hard work, exercises, stretches, to heal, and meant I had to reduce or stop many of my physical activities. I was sick of being injured. Eventually I learned that I needed to get stronger. Instead of overloading and damaging my tendons, I needed my muscles to do the work. This pushed me toward resistance and mobility training, and eventually weightlifting. The further I went with it, the more I loved it, and the stronger I got. At a certain point, though, I stopped making gains. Instead of getting stronger, I was getting weaker. Instead of gaining weight, i.e., muscle mass, I was losing it. My first thought was to just push myself harder. Maybe I wasn't responding to my training because I'd gotten good at it. I changed my programs, added weight, added volume, ran more, and I got more and more depleted. Eventually I spoke with my nephew, who has been lifting for nearly a decade and had a lot of success. He suggested that my issue was likely my diet, and in particular, that I wasn't eating enough food, especially enough protein. Our family has had a healthy diet for many years, low in salt and sugar, focused on nutrient-dense, whole foods. It's allowed me to attain and maintain a healthy weight after years of being overweight. I had developed an approach to eating that I'd learned while trying to lose weight, and the thought of eating to gain weight wasn't something I was excited to hear. I began researching how to alter my approach. YouTube vs. PubMed. The web is full of advice on how to do this. There are millions of YouTube videos, blogs, and the like, where people exchange tips on how to eat in order to build strength. I started watching and reading them, and I was immediately confused and uncomfortable. What I wanted was to continue eating in a healthy way, to not gain fat, and to gain muscle. Easy, right? So much of the advice I found online sounded like faux science, lore handed down at the gym from one unsuspecting generation to the next. I didn't want to wreck my health long-term for short-term gains. What I really wanted was advice based in good science. I decided to go looking for the science behind good sport nutrition. I knew, for example, that I should be increasing my protein intake. But by how much? It seemed odd to me that the recommended daily intake was so much lower from what people on the web were suggesting. Same for advice about carbs, which is fraught after decades of weight loss marketing and poor dieting advice. What the research says: while each one of us is a unique snowflake in terms of our taste in music and likes, dislikes with respect to fashion, our physiology is shared, and should be something we talk about with specifics. If you go beyond marketing claims, the published science on the topic of diet and nutrition, as it relates to athletic performance, is very good, readily available, and quite approachable, even by an amateur like me. A number of international bodies have published practical information, consensus documents, literature reviews, and useful guidelines on this topic. Here are some of the great examples I found and read. 1. International Society of Sports Nutrition (ISSN) Exercise and Sport Nutrition Review, Research and Recommendations 2010, PDF 2. Position of the Dietitians of Canada, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics and the American College of Sports Medicine, Nutrition and Athletic Performance 2016, PDF. I particularly loved this one, not least due to its Canadian connection. 3. International Olympic Committee (IOC) Consensus Statement on Sports Nutrition 2010, PDF. Perhaps the most helpful resource I found was a 2013 review of various sport nutrition guidelines, position papers, and consensus documents, including a number of those listed above. Sport Nutrition, a review of the latest guidelines for exercise and sport nutrition from the American College of Sport Nutrition, the International Olympic Committee and the International Society for Sports Nutrition 2013, PDF. I would encourage anyone wanting to increase their athletic performance and the quality and efficacy of their diet to read these documents, even if only the final summary document. There is a wealth of information, good guidelines, and practical advice. Reading and applying the recommendations. While your best bet is to read these documents for yourself, I've included some examples below of things I found interesting and useful. Some of the topics they explore don't apply to me, e.g., I don't care about preparing for competition, but a version of what high-performance athletes do is applicable to all athletes, no matter their level. I don't plan to do everything they recommend, but the nice thing is you can adopt some of the recommendations and see good results. I have. It's not all or none. 1. Do I need supplements? Probably not. In most cases, a well-balanced diet should be able to meet the energy and nutritional needs of an athlete. I found this really encouraging, because so much of the web seems to indicate otherwise. While it is safe to take many commonly available dietary supplements, minerals, and vitamins, it shouldn't be necessary. Instead, you should focus on eating a well-balanced diet of healthy foods. Too much of the weightlifting world has bought into the advertising of the nutritional supplement companies, who tell you that you need to buy protein powders and other supplements. 2. How often should I eat? Very often, 4 to 6 times a day, or more. Contrary to what you were told as a child about ruining your dinner, smaller meals and snacks eaten more often are better than trying to meet your dietary needs in a typical 3-meal configuration. This is especially important for sustaining muscle repair and growth, muscle protein synthesis, throughout the day, since your body can't process massive amounts of protein in one sitting, e.g., confining your protein intake to a massive dinner vs many meals and snacks that include 20 to 30 grams of protein. 3. How much should I eat? It depends. Depending on your goals, fat loss, increase in muscle mass, etc., and in accordance with your training level, 1 hour 3 times a week vs 4 hours 6 times a week, and based on your current weight, usually nutritional needs are expressed in amount per pound or kilogram of body weight, your caloric needs will differ. It is, however, potentially higher than you think. Too many of us have bought into the dieting rhetoric about reducing calories, without also examining how many we are burning with exercise. Remaining in a caloric deficit for long periods of time, combined with heavy training, can lead to loss of muscle mass, hormonal disturbances, injury, fatigue, prolonged recovery process, illness, and overtraining. There are various suggestions for calculating your required intake in the documents referenced above. Based on how active I am, mine is approximately 3,800 calories per day, which is way higher than I expected, and explains why I was so depleted. 4. When should I eat? There are advantages to eating certain macronutrients, carbs, protein, fats, at different times of the day, for example, before your workouts vs after, in the morning vs before bed. It's worth reading some of the suggestions for optimal results. One such suggestion is to consume 15 to 25 grams of high-quality protein immediately after exercise, and to take further advantage of the subsequent 24-hour period after exercise every 3 to 5 hours therein, when muscle protein synthesis is most enhanced. 5. What should I eat? A wide variety of unprocessed, whole foods, which will help you get a proper balance of carbs, protein, and fats, as well as micronutrients. There isn't a right way to eat. You should stop looking for the perfect diet. There are, however, many incorrect ways. Within the caloric requirements for your diet, you need to prioritize the right balance of macronutrients. Thankfully, current food labeling laws provide much of this information, and the web has the rest. You should start to pay more attention to the levels of different macronutrients in your food vs its calories. 6. How much protein should I eat? More than you're eating, and perhaps a lot more. You need more protein as an athlete, in order to fully recover from intense training, minimize the loss of lean muscle tissue, to build endurance, strength, speed, and to enhance and maintain muscle, tendons, and bones. Regular dietary guidelines around protein intake are not enough for someone who is pushing their body on a regular basis. You should eat between 1.0 to 2.7 grams per kilogram of body weight. So, if you weigh 180 pounds 81 kilograms, that's between 81 and 218 grams of protein per day. Your body can only process about 10 grams per hour, so you need to spread that out across all your meals and snacks, ideally in 20 to 35 gram portions, 0.3 grams per kilogram of body weight. More than that has no further effect. The best sources of high-quality protein are milk and dairy, best of any source, eggs, meat and fish, and plant sources like soy, beans, etc. You're not going to get the amount of protein you need by accident. It takes some effort. A glass of skim milk is approximately 9 grams, skinless, boneless chicken breast is approximately 30 grams, an egg is approximately 6 grams. You'll also find that whole wheat products, breads, pastas, usually contain 5 to 10 grams per serving, peanut butter has approximately 4 grams in a tablespoon, cottage cheese has approximately 11 grams per 100 grams, etc. The point is, you need it throughout the day, but not in massive amounts at any one sitting. 7. Should I avoid carbs? No. Carbohydrate intake is responsible for increasing and replacing your body's fuel, glycogen, stores. Your body contains a fairly limited amount of carbohydrate stores, which will only last 90 minutes to 3 hours before you'll hit the wall. Proper refueling before, during, and after training is important. Carbohydrates also work hand in hand with protein to help muscle adaptations due to training. The guideline documents above give formulae for calculating carbohydrate needs based on body weight, activity level, and time of intake. In general, you need between 3 to 10 grams per kilogram of body weight per day. 8. How about fat? You need slightly more good fat in your diet than if you're sedentary, something on the order of 20% to 35% of your total daily intake vs the usual 10%. Limiting good fats, for example excluding dairy from your diet, will work against you. It's important to have dietary sources of unsaturated, essential fatty acids. 9. What about alcohol? No surprises here, alcohol isn't helpful for optimal training outcomes. Beyond the well-understood results and dangers of overconsumption and alcohol abuse, post-exercise drinking, when many people are more likely to consume alcohol, leads to less efficient glycogen storage, slower rehydration, and reduced muscle protein synthesis. In short, don't drink, or if you're going to drink, it would be less bad to do it when you're not trying to recover, refuel, and rehydrate. 10. How much water do I need to drink? Before exercise 2 to 4 hours, in order to reach proper hydration levels, 5 to 10 milliliters per kilogram of body weight. During exercise, and depending on a whole host of variables, a good rate of fluid intake is 0.4 to 0.8 L/h. It's also important not to overhydrate. After exercise, athletes should replenish fluids lost through sweat, and shouldn't restrict sodium intake, they need to replenish it after sweating a lot. Conclusion: I've only dipped my toe into the available literature on sport nutrition, and I'm by no means an expert. I'm very much still learning, and enjoying the process. The little bit that I have read and applied is already making an appreciable difference, e.g., my recovery times are already much lower, and I've been able to add lean muscle mass instead of losing it. Whatever your own relationship with exercise, sport, and nutrition, I wanted to make sure that these documents and guidelines were more widely known among amateurs like me. I've never saw them mentioned in any of the places I went looking when I started to ask questions, and it should be the opposite. The answers to these questions are known, and the evidence is clear. I may not be headed to the Olympics, but I hope to continue training like an athlete for the rest of my life, and that includes eating like one.